Welcome to another episode of the Miles Offside podcast, where we talk a little bit of football and a whole lot of nonsense. My name is Oscar Puente, also known as Footy from Afar, and with me, as always, are my co-hosts, super producer Ian Stimson and quiz wizard Chuck Bailey. I did the backwards order there. Sorry about that. How you boys doing?
3 games, 3 teams, 3 wins.
Hey.
It's probably genuinely the third time in the history of this podcast that on the same game week, all 3 of our teams have
Is
actually
it really
won.
only the third? That's sad.
Almost certainly. It's many bad. So joyous givings of tidings and joy to one and all. Christmas is 12 days away. Let's fucking celebrate.
Oh, it is 12 days away. Holy shit, that's soon. I got some stuff to take care of. Ian, how goes it? Apparently, I guess Posh won, it sounds like. So fill us in. What's going on Posh Island here?
Well, I mean, it was a win we needed to keep in touch. That's how it is now. We just win to keep in touch, which is fine, I guess. But yeah, Millwall went 1-0 up, and you can imagine what I thought when that notification came through. Thought, here we go again. But no, we came from behind and 1-2-1. So
Love it.
yeah, gotta love that. So that does genuinely keep us in touch for now. So
Yeah, fuck a Millwall.
we'll see how-
We hate them.
Always nice to say moderately relevant in the relegation battle with 2 teams
Hey.
that have had massive points deductions.
Yeah. Speaking of points, I guess you did gain 14% points back in the relegation odds. So you're 14% less, 14 percentage points less.
Seems like a hell of a swing for one win.
I mean, I won't give you the actual number or what it changed to.
No.
But, it's a pretty,
It's still bad.
it's not great. It's not great.
Yeah.
All right, well, that does it for banter, I guess, right? Chuck, do you have anything you want to throw out there? Did you maybe see the new Ghostbusters or anything like that?
No.
We don't go out. We're all scared now.
Fair enough.
Omicron.
Yeah, for good reasons, which we will get into soon.
Many fears. I didn't want to learn this much of the Greek alphabet, not going to lie. Wasn't my goal for 2021.
Yeah, I know.
But,
Didn't we have a bluffer quiz once where the Greek alphabet was
we did a Christmas quiz and you just like straight away went at it full pelt, every single one in order. I had to slow you down. Yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah, well, I studied mechanical engineering and then economics and then math theory, so like the Greek letters are all up on me.
The banter section is truly over.
Yeah. Once you bring up econometrics, there's not no banter there. All right, well, if you are joining us for the first time, thank you. We are very happy to have you. We are 1 American and 2 Brits, and we try to talk about the Premier League, but often get distracted. And if you're back, we love you. We appreciate it. Leave us a 5-star review right now. Go. Do it.
Do it.
Do it. Okay, good. Tell a friend. Find us on patreon.com/milesoffsidepod. All of the things that are good things
You
to do
are
for the
smashing it
podcast
lately.
that you like. Yeah, I know, right? I was like, Emily said to me, you know what? That joke's getting kind of old. Oh, speaking of the good doctor, we're about to jump into the rapid fire news, but I gotta say, Chuck, controversy, absolute controversy. She wasn't mad at me because she did submit her predictor league. She just submitted it to the Facebook Messenger, which I guess all 3 of us forgot exists. But she had the timestamp on it. She did a screenshot. It's from middle of August, so you know exactly where to put her for the tiebreaker. She was very, very upset. So
I'm not over 45, so why are you sending me messages on Facebook Messenger? B, I'm not about to change the rules halfway through a competition. So I guess she's in, but I'll figure out where. Who knows for tiebreakers? I don't have that kind of detail. But okay, I blame Oscar.
yeah, I mean, it's timestamped, so you know exactly when she submitted, so, you know.
Yes, yeah, because don't worry, I definitely have the timestamps written down of when everyone entered.
I forgot we had a Facebook.
Do you remember the password?
Nope. In fact, I think actually because I lost access to my personal Facebook account, I was hacked, and then when I got it back,
why is this happening? Why is this happening?
I didn't have access to the podcast. I'm just saying, it's just some admin. That's all.
Okay.
So there's
For who?
no one...
Is this saying in that we don't know our own password for the Facebook page? Oh, Jesus.
Absolutely. It's so on brand. It's perfect. I have it written down somewhere. Anyway. Well, let's kick things off as we always do in this part of the world. And that is with our famous segment, which for the record, I actually do these live every week. I've gotten that question. And it is time for rapid fire news.
People think the whole thing's on the soundboard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You do it
imagine.
every week, but Ian edits over it. Because you just think you sound that good every time. It's just Ian records it.
I've picked the best one out of 150 episodes, yeah.
Okay. Actual top story. Sergio Aguero is set to announce his retirement on Wednesday, less than 6 months after joining Barcelona. Wow, things are pretty bad there, huh? The 33-year-old has struggled with injuries and health problems since moving to Spain, making only 5 appearances for the Catalan side. In his final game on October 30, he was substituted and taken to hospital after experiencing chest discomfort. Aguero finishes his career with 427 goals. He's the highest scoring overseas player in Premier League history, with 184 goals in the league.
He was an amazing player. It's a shame. It's quite, in a weird way, it's a good job he is a professional footballer. The fact that this heart condition gets found so quickly, and yes, it kind of prematurely ends his career, but at least he gets a chance at better life. Really, so it's a real shame. I've always absolutely loved Aguero. The Aguero goal that won City their first title is still the best Premier League moment. It's absolutely insane, and like Oscar said, he's the second highest, or the highest scoring foreign player in Premier League history. He is the player that scored the most for one club, beating Wayne Rooney's record with his last goal for City in his last game.
Oh, is that right?
That's right. I remember.
Yeah, so absolutely phenomenal. And we wish him all the best.
Always one of my favorites as well, so I would echo your sentiments. Our next story, the Champions League draw. A technical problem caused an error in the initial draw, which UEFA said has been declared void. In the new draw, holders Chelsea will play French side Lille in the last 16. Man City face Portugal Sporting Lisbon, while 6-time winners Liverpool play 3-time winners Inter Milan. And United face Atletico after the redraw. Other notable fixtures would be Villarreal with Juventus, PSG with Real Madrid. Boys, which of the Champions League fixtures are you most excited for?
Well, I think Chelsea and Man City have both been given a bit of a gift there, but that's what you get for winning your groups, I guess. My favourite bit, I mean, it was so many multiple admin errors. They realised they drew the balls incorrectly because for whatever reason, I don't get it. Like, you can't have a team from the same country and a this and a that and a whatever. I think it should just be like, first of all, it should just be 1 versus 2. That's how the draw goes at complete random. But they drew Man United and Villarreal, then realised, shit, we can't do that. Then did Atleti's draw, and they realised they left Manchester United's ball out, so started again. Meanwhile, obviously, Real Madrid went, well, the mistake happened after we were drew against Benfica, so if you're going to restart it, you should restart it from them, at which point they said, get fucked. And now, deliciously, Real Madrid get PSG, so very happy to watch their downfall further. Old money versus new money. And what an absolute clusterfuck. Absolute
a really good week for shenanigans at sporting governing bodies in Europe this week. All sorts of fun chaos. Love that. Have you ever seen someone have to redraw something like this before? I don't remember this ever happening, but I've only been a fan for like 15, 20 years.
They unnecessarily convolute it, don't they? They like on Andrea Sharvin and I can't remember who else were there, and they've got like 8 bowls in front of them of all different, like, just fucking big balls out of 2 buckets. And Rod Stewart pissed doing it that way. That's what they should do.
I did enjoy
Drunk
those
celebrities.
Yeah, I did enjoy those tweets saying even Rod Stewart pissed can manage a draw, for fuck's sake.
Exactly.
I love all the pageantry around it, though. It's always nice to like shuffle out the old Chelsea players from like 2005, and they're like, "Here's Michael Essien. Remember him? He's going to draw a ball out of a bowl."
It's I love so over the top and ridiculous, isn't it?
I'm used to the NBA draft being equally as much of a show and just like nonsense, because who doesn't love a spectacle? So it doesn't seem that weird to me. But I guess like other than the NBA draft, I can't really think of anything. I mean, drafts in general over here, but there's no equivalent over there. Other than this, right? Is there anything else where it's just like people getting together to do logistical things in complicated ways?
No, and they mentioned there was going to be something that they're going to extend half times in football, or they tried to propose it in order to enable like halftime shows like in American sports.
Fuck that.
But they do like pre-match and halftime stuff at things like the FA Cup final that never get shown, and no one turns up, and it's incredibly cringeworthy. Like no one's into it whatsoever. It's just like Don't touch it. It works in America and people enjoy it in the Super Bowl because it's synonymous of just the Americanness of that event. It doesn't
But it's not like we're doing that shit every week either. Like, yeah, sure, they'll do like a little like skit at half, not a skit, but you'll have someone come out of the fan stands and be like, can you score a half-court shot for $10,000? But it's not like a whole production. We have that.
But like national anthem before every game.
Oh yeah, that's weird.
Like loads of flyovers, massive bands, and you're just like, okay. We just want a pisshead trying to hit the crossbar from the halfway line. He can't do it. Maybe a raffle, preferably a meat raffle, and
it's not a working man's club in the 80s.
Bring it back. That's what we should bring it back.
Okay, I need context for this as the American. Like, do they actually do meat raffles?
Meat raffles really used to be a thing in a pub or in like a working man's club.
Okay. So it's not like Spurs are giving away a cheese plate.
I mean, they might have done. It was the 80s.
Don't rule anything out.
Palace in like the early mid 2000s used to do something called On Me Shed Son, and there was a shed without a roof like 30 yards away, and you had to try and get it in, try and kick a football into the shed. That was our thing.
So Peterborough have got 3 mascots we have, which seems greedy. Well, 4 actually. So when I was a kid, it was just Mr. Posh, who was an old dude who would wear a top hat and monocle and a full suit, and he would walk around and give sweets to the kids around the ground, which seems weird, but it's not. It's perfectly fine.
And then you got sued by Hasbro for the Monopoly Man, but carry on.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. We've now got a Miss Posh as well.
Right.
And,
of course, naturally.
Yeah, and it's weird because the Mr. Posh is like, I don't know, about like 80 plus, whereas Miss Posh is sort of 20 something and quite attractive. It's weird that.
Is Miss Posh like? Is it like a Pac-Man situation where Miss Posh is just Mr. Posh with a bow on his head?
With a bow on his head, yeah, exactly. And then we've got, so we're sponsored by. No, actually, I'll go to the other one first. We've got, which I think is brilliant, is a big rabbit called Peterborough.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah,
I love that.
Genuinely brilliant. He's really funny, and I really like him. Then we've got basically like a Bob the Builder character, because we are sponsored by Mick George, who supply skips and like aggregates and stuff, and we have exactly that. We have a skip that is brought out, and then people have to kick a ball from the halfway line into a skip.
What's that? What is that? What is
a
skip? Is like the big metal containers that
a
dumpster
over here.
Ish. Yeah, pretty much.
Gotcha. That's fascinating.
Wow.
At the Yankee Stadium, my brother used to have season tickets, so we would go a lot. I would go with him a lot. And they would do this thing called the subway race, where basically all the trains that get into Yankee Stadium would like have a little mascot on the screen, and they would race each other across like the subway tracks. And people would get like really into it. And we're sitting there being like, let's go 3 train. Come on, 3 train. Like going nuts every game for like the train race.
Let's not pretend you haven't got a form on getting massively into things that don't really sort of matter or aren't really a sport. You've spent this weekend watching the Rocket League.
We're on our 155th episode, okay? Oh, sorry.
That's not where I was going. You spent the weekend watching the Rocket League, whatever it is, World Championship type thing, which I enjoyed as well, I must admit. I was watching quite a lot of that as well.
It's incredible. And, incredible.
You've also introduced us to Marble Olympics, which is the YouTube thing where you just beat this guy. Well, you explain it. I can't explain Marble Olympics.
Sure, okay.
Marble's in it.
You'll be able to.
Yeah, I mean, there's 3 different types of things. I'll just talk about the 2 popular ones. I'll do this. We'll keep this quick. Marbula
always want a quick
is...
episode. Always want a quick episode.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Ian was like, we really need to be quick this week. And we're talking about Marbula 1. Anyway, it's like Formula 1, but with marbles. So they have qualifying, and then they all race each other on a track that looks like a little racetrack. And there's teams where two marbles go for every race, just like Formula 1. And then you get points and you win at the end of the season. And I am a Savage Speeders fan. Emily's a fan of the Hazers. We are very, very vicious to each other when it comes to our teams battling. There's also the Marble Olympics, which are like different events, like a balance beam and a chest, like luge.
Cross country
thing. Yeah, cross country. There's all of the stuff. It's hilarious and great and adorable and dumb. And any excuse to like just be tribalistic and root for something against other things is like, I'm all about it, obviously. So marbles, trains, and rocket cars hitting balls.
I'm just not letting you get away with saying that people get way too involved with some sort of mascot race.
Oh, no, I was one of the people. I loved it.
Fine,
I was like, fuck yeah, let's fucking go. Like, that was me saying those things.
Fair enough.
All right, let's move on, though. I think Chuck's getting really frustrated with this pace. And this is a big one. 42 Premier League players and staff tested positive for COVID-19 in the past week, the most recorded in the league over a 7-day period. It's the highest number since 40 cases were reported in January. Brighton, Tottenham, Leicester, Man United, Villa, and Norwich all have confirmed cases, with United's game at Brentford in doubt. Sunday's Brighton versus Tottenham fixture had already been postponed following the COVID-19 night break at Spurs. Previously, the most positive tests returned in a week was 16 from the first week of August for this season.
Woo! Here we go again. Yeah, the Man United one's weird. They've literally just refused to travel, so the Premier League hasn't ruled it yet, which is an interesting one. Not a power play whatsoever. As we record, yeah. Tottenham obviously have 3 games piled up at the minute, with their matches against Burnley and Brighton in the Premier League, and then their Europa Conference League tie with Rennes.
I thought UEFA said that wasn't getting made up.
Yeah, that's not happening at all.
That's not happening, so they need a verdict on that because neither team has agreed when it can be before the December 31st deadline. Because funnily enough, when you truncate everyone's season to fit in international competitions and continental competitions and all of that, there is no wiggle room here. Funny that. Yeah, there's a lot of football, 6 clubs now with these 42 cases. That's between the 6th and the 12th. Who knows if there were more positive tests today? Obviously, the fixtures start tomorrow, and everything's done by the Premier League on a quote-unquote case-by-case basis, whatever the fuck that means. Obviously, UEFA have said if you have 13 players, including 1 goalkeeper eligible to play, you have to honour your fixtures in their competitions. But you know, I don't really understand what kind of measure the Premier League will be using to assess whether or not these fixtures should go ahead.
Well, they said on Thursday, following the introduction of coronavirus, I didn't close the tab for once, new coronavirus rules in England, the Premier League told clubs to return to emergency measures, including social distancing, wearing masks, testing in the parking lot before players go to training, and all sorts of stuff. From Wednesday, fans will need to show proof of double vaccination or a negative test to attend sporting events, including the Premier League. And there's a whole bunch of other rules about fans. I won't read all of them, but look that up if you're someone who goes to games. So they are like taking active measures. They're basically just going back to like March of 2020 and being like, okay, this is what we did during Project Restart when we came back. This is what you need to do if we're going to have this going.
Yeah, exactly. I think it depends. Obviously, we don't know the exact science of what the Omicron variant is, and I'm sure you're all tired of hearing it in whatever way, but obviously we have to kind of mention it a touch of the severity or whatever happens, but at this stage they're probably just being overly cautious, which is fair enough, as we kind of go into the 3rd round of vaccines in this country, even if there are potentially some players, quite a lot of players, that haven't even had 1 vaccine yet. Whatever the reasoning is there, and hopefully, you know, we don't see football having to go behind closed doors. We don't see more matches cancelled, and you know, trying to work out exactly what's going to happen, because it's going to get messy. Like Tottenham having 2 matches to make up already, and all the other teams are on 16 games. We've still got, I think, another 5 game weeks takes us to the new year.
Yep, and there's like you said, no room to make stuff up if stuff gets moved. Like there's just zero room. Good
times. Yay!
Yeah, I mean, Ian, any thoughts here? How do you think this is going to affect the championship and lower leagues?
I mean, we've already had championship games being postponed.
Oh yeah, Sheffield United QPR.
Yeah, I think Reading had a game off as well. And that our seasons are already insane. In that Peterborough play 2 times
games.
a week. Yeah, 46 games. We play twice a week. And that's if you don't have a cup run or anything, you know.
Don't worry, you won't.
Which you don't.
Which we don't, no. You know, it's a real tricky one. I can't see how it doesn't affect the lower down the leagues really quite badly. because the budget's probably not there. They're talking about going to daily testing potentially in the Premier League if it gets really bad. Well, I'm not sure that lower down the league that can happen. You genuinely could be looking. It all depends on the severity of this new variant. But you genuinely could be looking at if it gets really bad, lower leagues being called off again. It all depends on if people, are scared of this Omicron variant when it shakes out in a few weeks, how severe illness it creates. Because if it's just a mild cold, then things will be fine, and you'll just have daily testing if you've been a contact. But it's so hard to say at the minute.
Yeah, the data. We don't need to talk about Omicron really, but like the data at least shows it's spreading crazy fast, and so whatever governments decide to do about that, whether the severity is like whether they can afford to wait on the severity really is a whole separate question. But I do think that like the logistics of the league. I mean, we were talking about this literally 18 fucking months ago or whenever that was. What even solution do they do then in the championship, for example? Do they go to like points per game? Are you guys safe on points per game?
Oh, well, that I would
Peterborough
not even
love
know.
points per game. No, you were not. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're in the bottom three. You're fucked.
Yeah, of course.
That's it. You need to be out of the bottom three when they do a points per game basis.
But Peterborough do not like points per game. That did not do as well last time. Yeah, I think that it depends, doesn't it? Because I suppose how many games need to be played before you can genuinely accept that as a decent metric to work out. At least when it happened last time, you'd had 30 plus games or whatever it was, and you could say, well, there's a decent enough sample there. It feels like we're less than halfway through at the minute. So
yeah, I mean the Premier League is, so I'd imagine you guys are. You start around the same time.
Yeah, almost exactly. You're on 22 games or 21 for some,
okay,
so
right.
you're pretty much bang on halfway. So
yeah.
We'll see if they go over 2/3 or whatever when they decide that. So Peterborough need to put a run together, mate. So
Pretty fast.
You got to get up there soon, ASAP.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? It's something to keep an eye on, obviously, but the dominoes are starting to fall a little bit like they were in early 2020. Things are being canceled. There's all these people and all this stuff and everything. So something to keep an eye on. But there were some actual matches to talk about. So shall we just jump into the fixtures, boys?
Certainly.
yeah,
Awesome. Well, let's start with Brentford beat Watford on Friday. Whatever. Let's start with Saturday. Manchester City 1, Wolves 0, Manchester City 3.5 to Wolves' 0.2. What a fucking beatdown. Good lord.
Let's get rid of Wolves. I've had enough of Wolves.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of them.
Just out.
Fucking boring, roll around the floor all the time, faking head injuries when they had a player have a ridiculous head injury that led to documentaries and all of that. That same player having, within 40 seconds, 2 yellow cards for being an absolute knobhead and being sent off. And they've scored 12 goals in 16 games, conceded 14 goals in 16 games. All of their games involve the least goals. Get rid. Just get rid.
Fine by me. Less W teams, less I have to think about.
But that is it. They've not been exciting for a while, have they? So it's sort of
dull.
Yeah, feels fine to not be a Wolves supporter at the minute. I mean, so let's just get down to incidents then. Penalty?
Well, this is weird because I wonder if because they said they couldn't find conclusively, and because I think on different angles it does look slightly different as to where it hits.
It does.
But ultimately his arm is also above his head, which is a bit silly. It feels like they were kind of making up for Kilman's one earlier because he moved his arm into the way of the ball. And it hit below the sleeve line, so that should have been a penalty. Yeah. I think all the referees just kind of phoned it in on Saturday. There was like seven penalties. City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United all had penalties.
2 at Chelsea.
2 at Chelsea. Leicester had a penalty. Who else? Leeds had a penalty in the Chelsea game. There was just too much. It was a bit weird. So... yeah, I'd say there probably should have been a penalty in that one, whether or not you want to say that was. I think there are a lot more contentious ones this week, to say the least. But the right team won there on balance of play, like Oscar said.
Well, that's true.
Like 20 times the XG.
I also, just for the record, I think that, like, I agree with Chuck that there was inconclusive angles. There's certainly one angle I saw that did make it look like it made contact with the skin of his arm, and the the on-field judgment was a penalty. So I think VAR,
they said.
Was
I
right.
think if he hadn't given it, they wouldn't have given it. It was right in
that's
that
one
spot.
that VAR just leaves alone for sure because it's an interpretation, and different referees will have different interpretations. The ball was away. His arm was away from his body. It was like above his head, like Chuck said. So I'm fine with it. Cool. But more of the same from City, just absolutely fucking demolishing team after team after team. 72% possession, 23 shots, 9 of them on target, 14 corners, and 892 touches to 450. Fucking demolished Wolves. How scary are City? Like, how scared should I be of City as a Chelsea fan?
You should be very scared.
You should be checking corners, man. You should be checking corners, switching the light on before you go to the bathroom at night. Checking behind the curtains. You should be terrified. There's very much the thing of City and Liverpool pulling away. Having a top two, having a Chelsea, and then having the rest of the league. I say the rest of the league, about 5 or 6 teams there, and then the rest. But City kind of getting it done against everything. Liverpool doing the same a couple of times. At least Chelsea got a win. All the teams got a win. That's what it's about. And so it wasn't necessarily a classic City performance for the ages. But Wolves just tried to stink the place out. Really, that was very clear from minute one. They just wanted to waste time. They wanted to roll around. There was obviously the head injury to Ruben Neves, which was wild to me that we keep seeing these massive collisions where the player's down for ages. Yeah, and they passed the protocols as there's meant to be precautions
I really thought
in place.
A change might have come, and it just doesn't seem to have at all.
Especially when it's the same team. It's the same team that they had that. Kilman's head was pissing blood out. He was sitting up the whole time, but I couldn't tell if Neves would have lost consciousness or anything. But yeah, it's strange to me that they bring in these rules, but then there's also still players that pretend they've got head injuries to stop games, which is something that I thought would happen and has happened quite a lot. The classic roll around or hold your face or lie on the ground for a while and then realise that the other team is attacking, so you need to get up and defend. I
love that. I love that move. Oh, if I was a soccer player, just roll, and then get up. Sneak in for a goal when they thought I was hurt.
Maximum shithousery.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, love shithousery. I guess speaking of shithousery, we should probably transition to Chelsea unless you guys have anything else to sort of add here.
No.
All right, well then let's go to Chelsea. Chelsea scoring 6 goals in 2 games and not looking good in either of them. Chelsea 3, Leeds 2, Chelsea 2.8 to Leeds is 1.4.
5 goals in 2 games.
I'm talking about the Champions League in the midweek.
Oh, right.
Yeah, since the last time we recorded, we scored. Timo got a brace. We don't need to talk about it. It's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't count. It doesn't count.
Doesn't count. It's in the Champions League. It's just in the Champions League. It doesn't count.
Yeah.
Exactly. Against who? Zenit St. Petersburg.
Lukaku did a goal too. I don't know. Lukaku and Timo both scored in the same game. That felt pretty good. But we're talking about this one.
Lovely.
Yeah. Chelsea getting away with this one in a penalty in the 94th minute. The underlying numbers were better, but we conceded 1.4 to a terrible Leeds. Terrible. I'll stand by that.
Leeds have been terrible. We lost to a terrible Leeds, so
yeah, exactly.
So you did one better than us. We lost to a terrible Leeds. Yeah, well, the other week. It's. I mean, the XG, all the XG is going to be so fucking skewed because of all the penalties.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
This week, and it's really frustrating me. But how are you feeling especially after conceding the first one and going behind in this game? Was there any sort of sense of here we go again, or was it tonally? Did you think you'd be all right? No matter what. I
think I'm trying to remember my exact emotional state because it's a great question. I think that probably I felt like, we'll be in this. It was an early enough goal. Like if it had been too early, 2-0 at the 28th minute, then I'd be a lot more worried, obviously. But just one goal and not even a half hour had gone, I don't think I would have been freaking out or anything. And especially with how good Mason Mount looked. Mason Mount from the beginning, from the kickoff, looked like he was in a Mason Mount kind of mood. And that generally tends to have an effect on us winning, in that we do win when he's good. So
Yeah, it's strange that you can have, obviously he's a great player anyway, and he's in a really decent run of form at the moment. But it is strange when you have a team with such quality everywhere and you still have a player that shines like that. And I think Mount has recently, especially since, your midfield at the minute is going through quite a big churn with injuries and
COVID.
Who knows what is going to be in, and COVID Chich, yeah, that's his name now.
COVID, yeah, all right.
Loftus-Cheek was injured for a bit. Wasn't Jorginho a doubt?
Well, Jorginho didn't look up to pace really in this game. Hasn't he got a back issue or something?
Yeah, he's had a back issue since the summer, but didn't get any time off because they went with Italy to the final of the Euros and then showed up to the Premier League season like a week later. And he's been fighting through the pain.
It did feel like he struggled to keep up a little bit. I know he was the hero in the end, but,
Kovacic is out with COVID. Conte is out with being Conte. So our options are Saul Niguez, Jorginho, and Ruben. That's why Ruben's getting so many minutes. Ruben, who has been amazing in those minutes, speaking of on form. This might be his breakout season, low-key. But we are thin in the midfield. If I want us to do anything in January, I want us to get some sort of Conte backup. That's what we thought we were getting out of Saul. We did not get that out of Saul. We didn't get much of anything out of Saul. And that should be just one signing in January, make that a priority, get us another fucking central midfielder so that we can give Jorginho a fucking break because he's dying out there.
Just give him a chance. Just give Saul a chance. He's only played 45 minutes. The guy deserves more.
Fair.
Maybe he's a second half player and he's not getting the chance to be a second half player under Tuchel. You know what I mean? It's just 45. See you later. Yeah. He's like, I need to be on the later one. I'm not a mornings person. You need to give me time.
I mean, I'm sure we will actually see him get quite a few minutes because we have so many games from now to January. We have a game every 3 days. And we have 3 healthy midfielders for 2 positions. We can play Mount deep, but that's such an aggressive midfield. When Mount and Jorginho are your 2 central mids, that's all-out attack and FIFA craziness. So
yeah, but getting the win against Leeds is good, and Leeds don't have a good run really either. They've got City, Arsenal, Liverpool in the next 3. Villa, Burnley. So it's a tough time of year for many teams, and they, like we said before, Bamford came back, scored a goal, got injured straight away. It's Rafinha is literally carrying this team, I think, at the minute.
Yeah, the hamstring apocalypse is upon us. This is just what happens every year. Christmas gift is a torn hamstring for Premier League players.
Do you think it would make less difference if the fixture congestion came in the summer? Because it's warmer. It's not
less muscle injuries. Yeah, well,
yeah,
possibly.
maybe it's also fresher, right? Because they've had the summer off at that point, but they're less fit. Too. There must be a sweet spot. Someone do a study on this. Anyone who works in
numbers, math,
sports medicine, or econometrics or whatever. I'd imagine that the peak would be somewhere around mid-September is when you would want to have the most crowded because they had time to get in shape from the summer, but they're not tired and they don't have a ton of miles on their legs from having had a bunch of season.
Or just put them in an oven, play in a giant oven.
Just keep them warm.
Yeah, just a giant toaster oven, and they all get to wear those foil jackets. More foil jackets in football.
They're Pop-Tarts.
They could be Pop-Tart. I like Pop-Tarts.
Well, when Antarctica wins the next World Cup, then they'll be able to test that theory
Antarctica wins
out.
the next World Cup. I don't think they have representation, do they?
Anyway, Liverpool. Let's go to Liverpool. Liverpool 1, Villa 0. Liverpool 2.5 to Villa 0.3. So similar to the City game. Dominant, but only a 1-0. Story here would be Gerrard. Gerrard against his old team. Gerrard, the manager. Now... What did you? I didn't watch this one because I was watching the Chelsea. So feel free to fill me in. Anybody who knows about this game.
Am I allowed to say that I'm quite impressed with Gerrard so far?
Sure.
I mean, if you want.
I am generally I'm impressed with his demeanour. I thought he was really good.
His demeanour, right? Okay, here we go. Passion, desire, intensity. This is what we're going to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will get to actual things that matter, but as just for instance, on his demeanour, he, came out, clapped the Liverpool fans,
but didn't do a lap of honour.
Well done.
No lap of honour.
That's the most important thing because he didn't do a lap of honour. Oscar.
Yeah. No
Claps,
lap of honour.
but no smiles, and at a slow rate. So acceptable.
Well, actually, now I've realised that I am sort of playing into your hands here, because what I was going to say is, after that, he just didn't play ball with the Liverpool fans at all. He was just focused on what he was doing. He didn't, they were giving it all the sort of Gerrard give us a wave, all that sort of. He just didn't engage at all with any of that, and he just did his job. Secondly, I thought the game plan here was good. It just didn't quite work out. But to lose 1-0 to Liverpool is no embarrassment. But he wanted to keep it tight, to stay in the game for 60, 70 minutes. Salah got, his penalty then, which to a certain extent he bought. It was a penalty, but he certainly bought it. And then he brought Ings on, and I thought Villa had a real go. I thought if it hadn't been for the penalty, I think the plan would have been the same. Survive to sort of 60, 70 minutes, and then go all out, because they were in survival mode, I think, for the majority of the game. But I didn't think the plan was bad at all. I thought it was pretty good, and I thought they did a good defending job for a good portion of the game. And then they didn't give up, like I say, they went for it. As soon as Danny Ings came on, I thought they looked a bit more sprightly, and they went for it. But I think I just think he's saying all the right things. He's making all the right
words,
the right moves with a tricky squad where people are sort of coming back piecemeal. I think he might have been the right man for the job.
I do think, though, with Villa, very much similar to Manchester United and Jadon Sancho, just coming in and making a couple of really obvious lineup decisions was going to radically change their performance. And for whatever reason, the former manager was just stubbornly not doing that. So I think there was a built-in bump, not even from a new manager bounce kind of way, but just straight up hey, throw Buendia on the pitch. We're going to be better.
Yeah, but Buendia had been injured.
Yeah,
also,
there were injuries, to be fair. Yeah.
I mean, he's done well and he's got 9 points in his tie. But, if we sort the table by XG since he came in, Villa are the 4th lowest team in the league. It's only Everton, Wolves and Burnley that have generated less XG than them. And, they got 9 points, but expected they're on just under 6. So they're overperforming a bit there. It's defensively, they're about mid-table. So eye test-wise, maybe you think that, and, he just had to do something. But he hasn't necessarily rapidly improved them in any sort of creativity way. I think they've had a decent enough rub of a couple of good fixtures and benefited a bit from a bounce, really.
I would be weary of that data, though, because it's such a small sample size. We're really reading into 4 games. I don't think that the numbers are going to be there to be able to comfortably say anything about Gerrard for a while.
I can only say what it is. Mate. Just straight facts. You take the inference for whatever you want. They're the fourth lowest XG creating team in the league. Steven Gerrard's Villa. And bear in mind, Antonio Conte's Tottenham, with 2 less games, have generated 2 goals more of XG than them. So
that's a new manager that scares me. Because he's such a good manager.
That's the one. Again, no, tiny sample size of 3 because they aren't playing any fucking football.
Yeah. All right. Well, from one coach to another.
That's very tenuous.
We had Crystal Palace 3, Everton 1. Crystal Palace 1.6.
Also have managers.
Yeah, exactly. Crystal Palace 1.6 to Everton's 1.3 on XG. So that would be Mr. Simpson. Cue the jingle, please. And then Chuck, take it away.
What? I'm not. No! Stop the fucking jingle. How is that? That's what?
Well, I didn't give it away to any other team before this, and all the other results we talked about were according to the XG. So,
I mean, it's bullshit.
Oh, you've pissed him off before.
1.6 rounds up to 2. Everton rounds down to 1.
Fair enough. I don't know, who would you give it to this week?
There's just none. There can be none.
Okay, there's none. Fine, fair enough. The stewards are changing their minds at the last second. We are not giving a Burnley of the week out this week.
You didn't give it last week. You didn't give it last week. So
well, you weren't here to give it away with us.
I was just checked. Even Peterborough's result wasn't a Burnley, and we deserved our win as well.
Fuck off. They don't do XG that low down.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
The championship they do. Yeah.
I've been checking every week this season, and it's been really fucking depressing.
Come on, Chuck. 3-1. Talk to us. Be happy. Brag.
I'm glad we got to play a manager who is doing shit with a team that's doing shit. We've had a lot of new manager bounces to face. So that was nice, and getting the result that we should for once. we've conceded a shitload of set pieces. Well, we bloody scored from one this week. We've conceded a load of goals after the 90th minute. Well, we bloody scored one this
scored
week.
From one of Everton's as well.
Yeah, we did. That was great. Seamus Coleman is awful. He tried to kick the ball into Jeffrey Schlupp from genuinely a yard and missed. And Conor Gallagher then took the ball off the Everton player and put it on a fucking postage stamp about as perfect as you could hit it to get it in. It really was a beautiful, beautiful goal. But no, I think
what was brilliant as well is Benteke giving it to Pickford.
Benteke giving it to Pickford because Pickford had run like halfway up the pitch earlier after Benteke probably should have been booked or maybe more. And also Jeff Schlupp shouted in Coleman's face after he tried to kick it into him. So a bit of both.
There's some shithousery for you, Oscar. It was lovely.
It's just nice to see both. Literally, there's a picture of them tandem doing it at the same time. It was brilliant. So. No, absolutely big fan of that performance. Much needed after 3 losses, after the 3-3 with Burnley. After we were doing really well. We were 7 unbeaten at least, and had the good performance against Wolves and City, and so I think it was very much rolling back in terms of style, slightly different lineup. Will Hughes getting a chance, Gallagher seemingly being the attacking force on the side to make up for Ayew's lack of. I did think it probably was Jordan Ayew's best game that he's had. He still missed the customary sitter, or at least, had a gilt-edged chance and kicked it straight at Jordan Pickford. But no, good, very, very good, very, very much needed. We controlled the game for quite a while, and then obviously Rondon got the ball and we wobbled then, I thought, for quite a while, and it had all the makings of slipping. Guaita made a really good save to keep it at 2-1. And then obviously, us just getting that goal at the end, especially considering how we've been for form from very late on in games over this season in general.
Yeah, that must have been a nice feeling to put it to bed rather than be...
Yeah, hugely. I think you could tell the relief when you see the players. Obviously it does help when it's an absolute screamer as well from outside the box. But, that's that sense of relief because Palace know that feeling of late goals, especially at Selhurst this season, of just having it stripped away from you. So, no, very, very good things. Our underlying numbers continue to be great, at least, even after the blip.
Projecting a top 8 finish comfortably. They have you in 5th, but you got Tottenham and United below you, so you got to take that with a grain of salt. But
look, I'd take comfortably being where we are now. Like that's it. It's just we've still got big fixtures. We had that really good run of form in very difficult fixtures, and we haven't really made the most of it going forward. But we play Southampton and Watford next. Then we've got Tottenham again, which is weird. Whether that game goes ahead or what happens to that will be interesting. And then we've got Norwich, which is kind of, I think, then that takes us into the new year with West Ham. So next 4 games, I mean, if we can get, say, I don't know, 2 wins, maybe a draw, 7 points out of that as a conservative, that's really, really good. Again, for this point, going then into halfway through the year, playing every team, and you're on, 26 points? It's really, really good. So, happy.
So are you guys currently filling a dump truck full of money to drive over to Chelsea for Conor Gallagher?
Hopefully. This is the problem with the midfield crisis, is whether now everyone's talking, did he have a recall clause in the contract? I doubt it. I don't think Chelsea have ever recalled a player. I was going to say,
he's not the player Chelsea need, is it?
But I don't think Chelsea have ever recalled a player. Have they? I can't remember it. Well, I don't think any club really does it.
Probably a keeper. Maybe Courtois at some point. When he was really young.
Was just... I think Courtois was just that you sent him out on loan for 3 years in one go.
Yeah, to Atletico. No, I know. I think we had to call him back on emergency one, second half of the season or something.
No. Gotcha. Okay.
But Gallagher, I'm looking at the numbers here, has as many goals as Mikel Antonio and Heung-min Son. He's having a hell of a season.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. The thing that might be in Palace's favour, if it was to come down to converting it to a purchase rather than a loan, is he really looks like he's having a lovely old fucking time. He looks like he's really enjoying himself.
Yeah, he is in all the interviews.
He's as happy as a clam.
Yeah, absolutely loves it. It's just whether... It's what kind of factor does the World Cup have? Because, we're now getting into the time of year where if you do string together a lot of very good performances, you can get a chance. to get in, but it's about being able to, or be playing. You'd like to think anyway. And so it's whether then that into the summer, even if Chelsea just make it another year loan or something like that, we can't comment on how all these pieces will fall together or what will happen or financially where we're at. We've still got a lot of players coming through the academy, and obviously money being spent that way. We did just spend a lot of money in the summer, and haven't necessarily sold anyone for quite a while. So we shall see. We shall see on that front. I'm not too stressed about it.
He does seem like someone that Chelsea would do a sale with a buyback clause, because like, as amazing as he's been, and he's been brilliant for you guys this season, and like one of the better attackers in the league, he would be behind Mount, Ziyech, Callum at this point, Werner, Pulisic in line for the positions that he wants to be in at various different positions. Like, he would be very, very far down the list of like likely to get minutes. So I don't see why they wouldn't be willing to, especially if they put like a buyback in. But we sold fucking Tomori. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're dumb.
Yeah, that's weird. But you know, you farmed out a lot of players everywhere that you have an option on because of the rule changes coming up with loans, and I think it's smart that you've moved into that so quickly that you then get, at least you're then potentially buying a player who you believe would be worth more for that value. I think Mark Guehi has that for Palace. Tammy Abraham has that, I think.
Yes, I believe so. 40 million buyback clause.
Yeah, like it's just a smart way of doing things. So yeah, that would make sense to me. Whether it would get agreed in January, that's another kind of kettle of fish. But no, good things again after a rough few weeks. So it would be nice to be a bit higher, but you know, every team's kind of falling over each other. Like we didn't really talk about it, and you know, we breeze past those teams so much because it's so higgledy-piggledy that it's when you don't follow them properly. Oscar's face just lit up. Then he's never heard that word before. Clearly,
it's so
so that's higgledy-piggledy.
Oh, okay, good. Now I totally know what you mean by that.
You know, you look at Brentford. Brentford started off really, really well. They had a really bad run of form, and now they're up to 20 points and top table. Brighton haven't won for like 8 games, I think. And granted, they've got a game in hand still, but they're sat at 11th on 20 points. You know, Villa have just had this really great run, but they're sat in 13th. The Everton fans are talking about them getting relegated, and they're 7 points off the drop zone, and they're 4 points off of 8th. Like it's so in such a state of flux that teams have a couple of good runs, and it puts them to the top of that pile, and then they steadily drop down, and it's just how the things shake out to the end of the year is how things are. So no, at the minute, that's good to consolidate that position and underline numbers, like Oscar said a million times. Like, I'd much rather be underperforming and in this spot close to the top of the pile than at the bottom looking up at it, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's a good place to bring up. You know, you're right. You see a ton of variation in the numbers for the projections this time of year because, like, everyone's so tight that one result massively swings it. But you Everton fans, 10% to get relegated. That's double digits. So, I don't know. Bad times over there. But let's check out on the title odds. Man City are up to 49%, Liverpool 41%, and Chelsea barely hanging on with 11%. Does that feel about right to you boys?
Yeah, probably based off current form. I think if Chelsea had a few more dominant performances recently and didn't have that period where they were Burnleying, you'd see them as a bit higher. And I think Liverpool's numbers are skewed by the fact that they're just blowing everyone out of the water by scoring 1 million goals. Yeah. Like we've spoken before about Jeff's prediction game that he runs, and you know, I've genuinely put Liverpool to win 6-0 against Newcastle, because I mean we can touch on this. Like, Leicester destroyed them 4-0, and Leicester haven't kept a clean sheet since August in the league, and you know, they haven't looked great going forward and haven't had a really good run at all, and have massively dropped down in the pecking order from what we're used to over the last few years, and just 2.5 xG to Newcastle's 0.6. Like,
everyone's talking about
Eddie Howe's not making it to January. It's not happening.
It could happen, yeah. I mean, everyone's talking about Norwich already being down. Well, why aren't they talking about Newcastle already being down, other than January?
Money.
Well, yeah, other than January.
Well, yeah, no, January and money is really that is the answer.
It is, but I don't... You're going to be at the point of no return soon.
I mean, they might already be there. They're at 75% to get relegated.
Second worst expected goals allowed and worst XG generated.
A Leicester team who have not set the world alight at all this season were passing through the lines and going through them as if they weren't there. It was pretty embarrassing, I thought.
I will say, and I mean, I don't know if you gents have seen that, but the James Maddison penalty was absolutely ridiculous. Like,
yeah. I think I agree with you on all the things you've said about incidents this week, Chuck, which is
I didn't see this one. Tell me what happened.
So ball comes out. I think Newcastle have it. They don't clear the ball properly. It gets kicked out to Maddison at the corner of the penalty area. He starts to go in, and now Lascelles sticks out a leg to stop the ball and leaves his leg there.
Leaves his leg out for too long.
Madison literally properly dives. Like, there is a picture of him in the air, both feet off the ground, not
Contact
attempting
hasn't
to
been
play.
made yet.
Contact hasn't been made yet. He's not attempting to go forward, and he just literally dives. It's insane. And then because there's contact, people are saying it's a penalty. Like, that's not what it means. Like, the contact has to have meant something. If you just fall and someone like bumps into you as you fall, like, that doesn't mean it's a free kick. It was so bad. And I think, you know,
I mean, it was bad from Lascelles to give him the opportunity, but yes, I am inclined to agree that
but if he'd have like even made a single attempt to walk past him, even like he didn't, he just went, oh, there's a leg there, dive. And that's appalling.
It would have been funnier if Lascelles would have just pulled out at the last second and he hadn't touched it at all.
And this is the fucking problem, right? Because Salah has this reputation, and yeah, fair enough. And certain players that, you know, Zaha has this reputation of being a fucking diver when there's literally no evidence anywhere ever. People say, oh, look on YouTube. It doesn't exist. But Jack Grealish and James Maddison do it, and they're smart operators. And look at what the common fucking denominator is there, guys. It doesn't take a genius to work it out. That it's, you know, a player doing that, absolutely ridiculous. And to me, that is simulation and should be booked. The same as I think rolling around the floor faking an injury should probably be booked when players just jump up, because that's literally simulation of an injury. I think it's ridiculous and disgusting, and that shouldn't have happened. Even if it did lead to hilarity and Newcastle getting humiliated, like, it's not. It doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel good to me. But you know, is what it is. Now
that lap of honor is looking more and more reasonable. They might not win at all for the rest of the year.
That was it. They've won once. One fucking game. One game.
Well, I think we're going to see the craziest fucking January ever. I've been talking about this for a while, and the closer and closer we get to it, the more I'm like, nah, for real, this is going to fucking happen. They have infinite money. They're going to lose. What's the cost of going down, like £150 million or something insane?
Not that much, but obviously it's you then drop into parachute payments, so it's, you know, I think your instant loss to revenue is like 70 million.
Okay. But it's still an insane amount. The prestige, the whole fucking point of buying this club is the prestige. Now they're playing in the championship with some team called Peterborough. Like,
well,
are you kidding me?
Wow, big dreams. Peterborough are going to stay up. You've heard it here first,
Hell
Ian.
yeah.
Oscar Puente,
when the season gets called off, yes. They'll be in the...
couple more wins, points per game, lovely old job.
Done and done. They're gonna buy every fucking free agent. I'm afraid they're gonna try to buy Antonio Rudiger.
No way. They won't do that, because that would just be absolute madness. But what they will do is they'll raid the leagues in Europe that desperately need the money, because the Premier League teams won't sell to them. There's already a lot of them saying we're going to put Newcastle tax on this because fuck them. But you know,
but they have the infinite money, so who fucking cares? Like, they can afford it.
If they inflate it to the point where that player isn't worth it, then it's a bad deal for Newcastle, but they'll take advantage. However, there are League One clubs, there are Serie A clubs, there are La Liga clubs that are in serious financial jeopardy at the minute and desperately need to sell players in order to stay solvent. And it's
they're going to buy like half the Barcelona squad.
But this is the thing, like, they don't have the scouting network for it, so I genuinely think they're just going to buy bad buys, and it
Oh yeah.
might work. I think if they were to stay up, it's going to be like on game week 37, and they'll somehow sweat it, but I don't know, they'll buy players like Coutinho or whatever and still try and build a team around John Joe Shelby, and it just won't fucking work.
Dude, they're about to run out the 2015 FIFA All-Stars. Are you kidding me? Right? They're going to make so many purchases based on just name and nothing else of players that won't fit together, that are past their prime, all of it. And then what happens next year when Felipe Coutinho is looking at playing in the championship? It's going to be so fascinating, just so fascinating to watch what happens with Newcastle over the next year.
Because they're going to go down.
I think so. They're 75%, man.
75%, because they've won one fucking game. One game.
All right. Well, now that we're properly riled up about Newcastle, shall we get into some FPL or any of the other many things that happen after I'm done hosting?
The many things, probably one, maybe two things happen. I mean, FPL, I beat Ian again this week, and I beat him last week, and, whatever. Sure. I'm sure he doesn't want to go on about it, but there's so many fixtures coming thick and fast, good luck. To all of you out there with your FPL teams, don't take hits too early, Mark, and try and field 10 players if the fixtures get cancelled.
And don't captain and vice-captain in the same game.
Never do that.
No,
That's
especially with all the cancellations right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
gotta split
absolutely.
them
Anyway, so, if we're all riled up, let's bluff.
Yeah!
There he is.
Bluff for time. It's bluff for time.
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 Bluff for time. Ran out of time this week. I was too busy. Decided to phone it in again and do another bluff quiz, kind of based on last week's quiz. It's the Bluffer. You listened last week. Of course you did. You're back for more. Why'd you hate yourself? Really simple. Ian's currently ahead overall in the quizzes for the year. Yeah, 6-5. Why not?
Sounds right.
So we are going to go to Oscar first. I would like, please, all tabs closed. I would like no performance-enhancing substances, anything like that, because it would just be ridiculous. So
who would do such a thing?
Ian. So I've got 3 categories. So Oscar, I will let you go first. Would you like goals, league, or music?
Music.
Okay, this is the one we didn't do last week. It might favour Oscar, who knows. In the classic song We Are the World by, I believe it was USA for Africa, was the collection of artists. 44 singers are credited on the Wikipedia page as appearing on that song, be that as individual artists or in the ensemble. Not all of them are necessarily musicians, actually. Some of them are band members that are really obscure and you probably won't know. But how many of the 44 can you name, Oscar?
7.
Yay, the classic bid. Ian, do you even know the song?
Sort of.
We are the world.
Yeah, okay. Oh dear.
There comes a time when we heed a certain call. When
Keep singing.
must come together as one. Shall I try and do it as the artist? There
Yeah,
are
yeah, if you would,
people
that'd be lovely.
dying. Oh, and it's time to learn something.
Okay, I'll go 8.
8.
Do you know
Yeah.
8? I don't think you know 8.
We are
I think
the
I think I
world.
could get to 8.
All right, I'll go 9.
44. 44. One of the biggest songs of
I haven't got a chance.
Charity
though.
Times.
No. Yeah, go on. You go with your.
Eesh, I don't think I know 9.
Oh wow.
Oh, hilarious. I thought you would have known it. You can just go through the song. Who sings? When? Oscar, can you name 9?
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson. Ding. 1.
Bruce Springsteen.
We are the world. 2.
See, if you'd have done that, I'd have been alright.
Cyndi Lauper.
3. That is correct.
Wow. Rod Stewart.
Boo!
Shit.
Ian gets the point somehow. Wow, that's well, that was worth writing out 44 fucking names.
Sorry, mate. I had Lionel Richie.
Oh yeah.
Lionel Richie opens the song. Yes.
I had Hall and Oates.
Yeah, that would have been 2.
That been 2.
Daryl Hall. Yeah. Daryl Hall and John Oates. Oates didn't get a solo. Hall did.
Okay.
Make of that what you will.
Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan, indeed. Oh, you'd have smashed it, mate.
Yeah, you should have taken it.
I think I didn't get some of the ones that Oscar did. Stevie Wonder and Bob Geldof had written down, but that's me out, so I could not have gone
Stevie Wonder,
any
Bob
further.
Geldof, absolutely. So we'll go through all the big ones at the beginning. Lionel Richie, Stevie Wonder, Paul Simon, Kenny Rogers, James Ingram, Tina Turner, Billy Joel, Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, Dionne Warwick, Willie Nelson, Al Jarreau, Bruce Springsteen, Kenny Loggins, Steve Perry, Daryl Hall, Huey Lewis, Cyndi Lauper, Kim Cairns, Bob Dylan and Ray Charles. That makes up all the soloists.
Was Billy Joel
that
there?
could be a good one. Billy Joel is involved, but he's with Tina Turner singing for a bit. You got Michael Jackson. You could have had Jackie Jackson, LaToya Jackson, Marlon Jackson, Randy Jackson, Tito Jackson. You could have had any of the Three Pointer Sisters, Smokey Robinson, Bob Geldof, like you mentioned, Huey Lewis, and all of the members of the News were there. Dan Aykroyd. Was in the ensemble. There you go. Bette Midler, amongst others. That's kind of the big name. So
I'm thoroughly disappointed in myself.
You should be. Point to Ian. Ian, would you like goals or league?
Goals.
Goals. Well then, I hope you learnt after last week, because last week I asked you, can you name all the goal scorers from this weekend? And there were 19 different goal scorers this week. In this game week of 16, how many of those 19 can you name?
I will go with 6 to start with.
6 to start with.
11.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that's my boy.
Ballsy, I like it.
Come back strong. Know that he's going to start writing. His arthritis will kick in. He won't be able to keep going, and he'll just fall asleep for a bit and give up.
See, do you know why I did okay last week? Is because my fantasy football team did okay last week. I did not do okay this week.
No, you did all right. I just did better.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, go with 11.
Fuck. I don't know 11. I don't watch these games. God damn it. Stop calling me.
Oscar, you're going to throw this away this week. Ian's going to go back to his classic formula of not having to answer one.
Yeah, that is correct. I'm absolutely going to lose this after about 2 seconds.
Okay, so after Ian went 6, you went 11. So can you name 11?
I'm going to get to like 5.
11 of the 19 goal scorers.
Jorginho.
Ding, 1.
Rafinha?
Ding, 2. Right, he's done one Chelsea one and he got stuck. This might be... Ian, get your finger ready.
Sterling. Raheem Sterling.
Ding, 3.
Who scored the Liverpool goal? Mo Salah.
Ding, 4.
Conor Gallagher.
Ding, 5.
I almost just said Heung-min Son, which Spurs didn't even play, so that's where I'm at. Fuck it. Ronaldo, probably.
Ding, 6.
I mean, there's no way I'm getting to 11. I'm going to run out. I'm going to just get it wrong very soon. Who else are teams? Who do goals? Leicester. James Maddison.
Ding, 7.
Oh, you might get
4
there.
more.
Jamie Vardy. There it is. Okay. Oh, it was unlikely.
Play the music, Ian! Appropriate that we play the Steptoe music for the man that looks like Steptoe. Vardy, not Ian. Vardy didn't play. Vardy did not play.
Okay.
Didn't need him.
No, so Ian pulls 2 ahead, 7-5. Mason Mount. You missed Mason
Oh, yeah.
Mount.
That was a beautiful goal.
Yeah. It was a beautiful goal from a
He's
beautiful
so
man.
good, man.
Arsenal's 3 goals. You could have had Lacazette, Gabriel, Odegaard.
Yeah.
You missed Mount and Gelhardt. How could you miss Gelhardt from Leeds, Oscar? Bloody hell. Leicester, Tielemann Square and Patson Daka scored. And in Crystal Palace's game, James Tompkins scored. And obviously, Solomon Rondon scored his first goal for Everton against Palace, because that's what happens. Okay, so point to Ian in the quiz. And, I don't know how to handle fixtures. We're recording on the Monday. There's 10 fixtures, apparently. Probably going to be 8 fixtures now.
Well, I'll try and get this out before Tuesday night's fixtures, but My
And what about the
feeling-
podcast?
My feeling is that Man
Penis.
United will get called off because of exactly what you said, Chuck. They haven't even travelled, so I just can't see that happening. I can't really see how Tottenham's game can happen as well, being as there were so many positive cases.
It's still so close. Like if you think is like a 10-day isolation, unless they tested negative.
Yeah,
and it's not
and
Omicron.
they've apparently been back in training, albeit not contact training, but. So maybe there's a chance, but it does feel like crazy times at the minute, doesn't it? So, yeah, I'll try and get this out before some games that may or may not happen on Tuesday night, but we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all the games are available on TV over here as well if you have BT Sport. I mean, if you live in America, that's nothing new to you. You just get to watch all the games anyway. But there'll be some goal shows and bits like that will be really good. And then we go into then Saturday is another game week 18, thick and fast. Let's just pick out a couple of highlights from them. I mean, Palace have got a beautiful double of Southampton and Watford, so fully expect us to get 0 points out of those two. Chelsea have Everton and Wolves. We got a bit of a temperature check there for you, Oscar.
I know you say this every week, but I genuinely mean this one. Everton are a bogey team, and we're gonna fucking lose to them. Every fucking time. I hate playing Everton.
They really fucking suck this year.
I mean,
yeah, Liverpool, I mean, they've got Newcastle and then they've got Spurs. Who knows if that game goes ahead? If the game against Spurs does go ahead, you've got Liverpool actually having played games and Spurs just kind of sitting around for a few weeks. So who knows what could happen there. Man City also. Oh, Newcastle have Liverpool, then City.
Then Man United after that. I mean, I don't know if they're a big problem anymore, but for Newcastle, can't be good.
Ooh, that's okay. Good times. I can't wait to see them get relegated. And yeah, there's so many fixtures. Fucking hell. Did we get a new producer?
We did. I'm so glad you mentioned it, Chuck. Yeah. Sam Bailey becomes a new producer. Sam Danby.
Sam Van Dam. Whoa, Black Betty. Sam Balam. Whoa, Black Betty. Sam Balam. Sam Danby got a producer. Then he bought a juicer for Christmas. Vitamin C, Sam, very important, especially since you're in Scandinavia. I don't know what that means. Yeah, thank you very much, Sam, for joining us. You can join us. You can sponsor this podcast should you wish and get all sorts of goodies and joys, extra pods. Ian and I will endeavour in some form to get some form of FPL podcast out for you guys that are literally getting longer and longer as the weeks go on. So,
I know. This week was about 45 minutes.
It really was.
It's like me talking about a trailer.
Yeah. I mean, and we're coming into like a good time of year for films. Oscar mentioned before about Ghostbusters. 2 days until Spider-Man comes out, or 3 days if you're in America. Unlucky. There's Hawkeye, Marvel shows. There's the Book of Boba Fett. There's all kinds of good things.
Yeah,
that
we
we're
are living
talking about.
in a good nerd time. I'm going to be doing more nerdy pods. We are currently in the middle of rewatching all of the Spider-Man movies, in preparation for the coming one in a few days. So we just finished the Tobey Maguire trilogy. We are halfway through the Andrew Garfield ones. So I'm going to be doing a whole reassessing the Spider-Man movies and having seen all of them back to back soon.
Yeah.
And then Boba Fett's starting up and everything. So Hawkeye's been good. I haven't gotten around to doing that review because we've been busy with the Spider-Man stuff, but Hawkeye's been good. If you like Marvel stuff, watch Hawkeye.
Yeah, watch it all. You can also enjoy stretched out content like this when Ian decides not to press the end theme, and we just have to endlessly fill. Look at what he's done. There he goes. 150.
Got a lot of producers
episodes
to thank, Chuck. Come on.
I'm gonna get Ian. Ian, say bye first.
Goodbye.
Okay, Oscar, are you gonna say bye?
I will say bye.
Okay. Gonna say?
You're gonna get me to thank the producers, yeah? Johnny
Nate Whittam, Andy Penpraise, Mark Devon, Johnny Worthington, Jeff Penner, and Van Dam, Sam Danby. Thank you very much. Goodbye.